also want to just make you feel more comfortable. You're not going to understand everything. I do understand everything, but I've also read the play about 30 times, and I'm an English teacher, and you guys aren't. So you're not going to pick up on every subtle nuance and understand every single phrase that the characters say, and that's okay. Everything that's important, I will talk about and I will explain, and I'm also going to rely on, excuse me, there's this like 1969 movie version of it. It is in color. You can calm down. And I found it on YouTube broken up into little like chapters or sections. So I'm going to use it as well. And I don't know if I've forgotten anything important as far as stuff I wanted to cover with you. But if I did, I'll probably re-record this video. So if you're seeing this version of it, then I haven't missed anything important. I am kind of toying with how to present the information, and I'll probably ask you guys for some feedback again. Thank you so much for responding to my post yesterday. It's nice to know that you're out there and you're interested in coming back to school, because I'm interested in teaching you. So it's going to work out good. So I'm thinking I may do like the first official Romeo and Juliet lesson. I would call this kind of the introduction. So I think I'm going to do the first lesson kind of in more of this format. I'm just going to record myself, and I'm going to go through some of the important things that I want you to get out of the text. If we were reading this in school, we would be reading it out of the literature book, and we would be reading just the original Shakespearean language. We call it that, but ultimately it's not really. Even the version that you read that's like Shakespeare language isn't how it would have appeared in Shakespeare's time. And for that matter, wouldn't have been written in Shakespeare's time because most people couldn't read. So, like, there are probably a few copies somewhere in some massive, like, really important London library, some copies of very early texts. But all of the texts have been modernized because in Shakespeare's time, like, the language was developing, and English, I always say people are like, why is English so weird and why are the rules so hard to understand and everything? It's because English is just like this conglomeration of other languages. It didn't just come about. It's like we pulled a little Spanish, we pulled a little Germanic, and we pulled some of the native like tribes who were really, really early in English history. And then when we bring English over to America, then we pull in, Irish and all kinds of stuff. Excuse me. So this is kind of a side note, but like the Shakespeare that you're reading is a modernized version of Shakespeare. And there's nothing wrong with reading another level of modernization, but that's not why people read Shakespeare. They read Shakespeare because Shakespeare like wrote in poetry. He even used like rhyming scheme, but people didn't talk like that back then. Like people didn't like just start talking, then all of a sudden, rhymes come out of their mouths. It's not how people talked. That's not how people talk today. But just like if you watch love stories of teenagers today, like they talk in a way that nobody talks. I'm sorry. It's like romantic and stuff, but nobody talks like that in real life. It's the same thing. Like it's what people wanted to see. Like if they wanted people to see people talk like we talk, even like I talk, which I don't talk like you guys do, but if people wanted to see that, they wouldn't have gone to see Shakespeare. They would have gone somewhere else. So I'm going to use, it's called No Fear Shakespeare. Excuse me. And it's got like side-by-side translations. So you have like the original Shakespeare, and then you have like a modernized version of what's going on. I'm going to, in the first version, like the first trial, I'm going to just link that to you and say, please read from here to here. I would really, really challenge you to read both. So I want you to read the modernized for sure, because it'll be easier for you to grab all the details from. But when I discuss it with you, I am going to discuss the original Shakespearean language, because the stuff that is important for you to pull out of each scene, you're going to be able to grasp with that Shakespearean language. So if you just read both, you'll be covered. And I would say, like, read, if Juliet has a line, read Juliet's original and then read Juliet's translation. Or you're going to figure out what works best for you. Read the full, like, modern day version all the way through, and then go back and read the Shakespeare. Or read the Shakespeare and then read the modern. Whatever works for you. So the first way I'm going to do this is I'm going to give you links. So I'm going to, like, here's the video I want you to watch from here to here. And then here's the text. I want you to read the text. And then I'm going to come in and record myself like this, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the lines and the things that were happening and why it mattered. Excuse me. I'm going to try that first. The other way I can do it is I can, like, screen record, and I can have all these different things on my screen, and we can watch the video together, and then we can read it together, and then we can discuss it together. So I'm going to try that version probably second, because it's a lot more, like, complex for me computer-wise and labor intensive, but I want to get you started and going. And once I've done both ways, then I'll ask for feedback. I would lean toward the first way, where you guys do some of the stuff on your own and then I talk to you about it. I would lean that way, just because that's a lot less internet time for you, that you're, like, tied to your computer. Because you can go to No Fear of Shakespeare, and I think you can even download it, but you could for sure take screenshots of the different pages. And then if you have limited internet, then you can do that. I'm going to talk a lot. I've already talked almost 25 minutes just for the introduction. So if I'm watching it and doing this and doing that, it's probably going to end up being like an hour-long video. And we're supposed to try to keep it, like, each class under 30 minutes per day. And that's kind of the state's guidelines, but I'm personally thinking more week-long lesson. Like, week 1, we need to get through act 1, maybe. I think there's either 5 or 6 acts, but one at least of them at the very end is, like, super duper short. It's like one scene. So I may do mine more as, like, one big lesson that takes an hour or 2 hours. And if you need to chunk it up into parts, you can. But I would hope that you could just, like, pick a day of school per week and do English on that day. Excuse me. So you're going to see both formats. And then once I've done both formats, then I'm going to ask you for feedback. I am willing to do both. I probably won't do both for the same lesson. It's just, like, too time consuming. And I have, like, I'm not at school, but I still have other things that I have to do school-wise. I have multiple classes that I'm teaching. So I'll do one style or the other, but we're going to start with this style. I am going to go out on YouTube and find a brief, like, I don't know, Shakespeare biopic or something. Just short, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. More information about the Globe Theater for you to watch. And it'll be a supplement to this. If you can't use that much time on the internet, or you can't use that much of your internet, you don't have to necessarily watch that. I've covered what I wanted to cover with you. So I'm going to put this as an assignment. And your assignment part that is going to be graded is tell me what you learned. Okay, so this is number 1. Tell me what you learned from what I told you. Number 2, do you automatically think I want to go option A, where we go do some stuff and then we listen to you talk about it? Or would you rather, like right now, you think you'd rather do the second option, which is we do it all together and it's all like curated or guided by me, where we watch all of it in one video, which is a recording of my screen. Excuse me, darn cold. So that's number 2. And third question, I'm going to have to replay this so I can remember what they were. Third question is, what do you already know about Romeo and Juliet? Where have you heard Romeo and Juliet? Like, you would have to be living under a rock if you hadn't already heard the names Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet, come on. They made a whole animated movie with garden gnomes about it. So, it's everywhere. And that's why it's so important for us to cover it, is because it's called allusions, is the literary term. I'll write it out and show it to you. But allusions are when you reference another literary or artistic work. Allusions right there. It's not like illusions. Like, if that were an I, that would be the magic thing. But allusions is when you reference another literary work. And people do this all the time. Like, again, Romeo and Juliet, songs about Romeo and Juliet. So tell me what references you have. Don't Google it. I can Google it myself. I don't care what Google says. I want to know what you know about Romeo and Juliet. And I'm going to post this today. This is Wednesday. But this is Monday's assignment, is to watch your 2 videos and then complete the 3 questions that I gave you. Excuse me. I will probably, I'm thinking Friday or Saturday. I have another lesson I have to get done for my other class. Friday or Saturday, I'll probably go ahead and record part 1, act 1, scene 1 of Romeo and Juliet's lesson. And I figure when I get it done, I'm going to go ahead and post it. I'll try to set the due date or the deadline based upon when I think it will be. So, this is Monday's lesson, but you're going to get it on Wednesday. And then you'll probably get, Tuesday's lesson on, Friday or Saturday. So then you can be, if you do them when I post them, you will always be ahead. But that might be a good thing, because we don't know what could happen. Internet could go down, somebody could get sick, whatever. Things happen. So if you stay ahead, then you won't ever get behind. So we're just going to jump in, see what happens. Thank you guys for telling me you want to get started on Romeo and Juliet. I'm so excited. I wish I could be there and do it with you, but at least we get to do it. Love Romeo and Juliet. And it's okay if you don't love it this much. It's okay. But I will tell you, most students are like, oh my God, I have to read Romeo and Juliet. It's going to be so stupid. It's so boring. It is totally not stupid or boring. People are croaking, dying left and right, stabbing each other, fighting in the streets, it's good stuff. You'll like it. Excuse me. It's okay to say that you like it too. You don't have to pretend like you don't like it. And if you don't like it, pretend like you like it for my sake, because I'm here by myself hoping that you'll enjoy it. So anyway, I'm going to post these today and try to get my questions answered by Monday, Tuesday-ish, in that neighborhood. And FaceTime me if you have questions, or you're freaking out, or you're like, I cannot watch Mrs. Winter talk to me for